welcome to another episode of Heresy from the Haven, coming at you from the Gamers Haven in lovely Spokane, Washington.
There it is. There's a little twist on this one.
We are your hosts. I'm Bob.
Jay. Steven.
This episode, we're going to be talking about our initial impressions of Legions Imperialis. Now, if you're wondering why we're talking about Legions Imperialis, it's because it is the Horus Heresy. We were actually just talking about this before the episode. With this new box that came out, they have Warhammer, the Horus Heresy, Legion Imperialis. If you look at this wonderful game, which is Warhammer, the Horus Heresy, Age of Darkness. So the name of this game is actually Age of Darkness. This is Legions Imperialis. Somebody explain why are they so small?
It's a tiny version of Horus Heresy.
Or it's a bigger version
of Horus Heresy.
Age of Darkness.
Yes, both. Essentially, if you think about Age of Darkness and Horus Heresy, it is you're on a battlefield, you're playing out an actual piece of a battle.
Right. Massive front.
You have a massive front. We're right here.
An engagement, yeah.
Now, Legions Imperialis is take that, and it's fitting that these are both World Eater armies because it's essentially a great narrative of this is now we're playing out the entire battle of a city rather than a battle being fought in the city.
Right.
That's a great way to put it.
That way?
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, and you could even look at this one little tiny stand of Terminators is equal to that entire squad of Terminators, and I have 6 stands right here of that squad. Like it's a much grander scale.
And you see that there's Thunderhawks and bunches of tanks and a bunch of dudes. So it's a combined arms
Great
game to where you're not just you're trying to navigate different formations of tanks and planes and infantry,
artillery.
Right. It's a grander scale. So let's see. Yeah, that's somebody else talk now.
Well, okay, we kind of covered what the game is itself. Let's kind of break it down to it's a fairly new game, but it's not new in the sense that this is called Epic scale, 40K Epic. Now, did you play, Bob, back then? You played Epic before.
I did. I played Epic. It originally came out, I believe, named Epic. I think the second edition of it was in the early 90s, and it was called Space Marine, and that's when I got into it. But Epic back in that time period had all the races. It was more in the 40K setting. So you had Orcs, and you had Eldar, and you had all these different Tyranids, and then Space Marines, Imperial Guard. Where this one being set in the Horus Heresy setting, you're not going to have any of the Xeno races. They're never going to do Orcs, they're never going to do Eldar, but they're going way deeper into the units that the Space Marines have, the Solar Auxilia have, which are Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum in 40K. And I'm sure we'll eventually see the Runestorm Demons. We'll see Custodes.
You don't have any out here, but we have Legio Titanicus. We have Knight Households.
I should have had some Knights. I had Titans out here. I can walk over there and grab some Titans. One of the things that is interesting about that is they had a game. It still kind of exists called Adeptus Titanicus.
Yep.
And that was all just Titan battles. And they've adapted that now. And that was also set in the Horus Heresy setting, but it didn't really get a lot of ground. People who love it are really into it. And then they've incorporated into this. So this is all built to that same scale. So if you have a Titan in Adeptus or Titanicus, they built all this to that scale. And then they had another game called Aeronautica Imperialis, which was actually in the 40K universe. They had Tau, they had Eldar, and they've actually kind of killed that. The rule set's still available, but the models, they're not making the models anymore, and they're taking all the aircraft from Aeronautica Imperialis, which is just an air combat game, and they've adapted it to incorporated into Imperialis.
Which makes it more of a combined arms because not only do you have all of this, but then you have flyers and you have Titans, and you have mass world mayhem at your fingertips.
Right.
You really feel like you're, instead of just a 10-man tactical squad in training a ship, you are controlling a massive combined arms army, almost like a giant chessboard. You're pushing formations of tanks on this flank. You're calling it air support.
And stuff dies fast.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It is a very fast game. Another thing that differentiates it from, say, Age of Darkness, the regular Horus Heresy, where I take my turn, you take your turn, we move all of our stuff at our turn and do everything. Legions Imperialis plays a lot faster pace, I'm going to say, at least in my experience. And it's like, I activate one unit, you activate one unit, I activate one unit.
Right.
It's a very back
Even
and
before
forth.
that, what's interesting is you actually place your orders at the beginning of your turn as your opponent does the same time.
Secret.
So you're trying to anticipate,
Right.
like in a true.
And then we flip all of our
large-scale
orders,
battle.
and these guys are going to charge, these guys are going to run, these guys are going to sit still and shoot, these are,
And then we take turns activating back and forth. So it's a different feel. I actually very much enjoy this. I didn't think I was going to. So I'm excited. I'm playing Alpha Legion as usual.
He's got a whole army sitting right here.
Yeah, this is Alpha Legion. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's still really new, as you can see. I mean, the first wave's only come out, so we have the Age of Horus Heresy, Legions Imperialis starter set, and a couple support boxes, infantry, some tanks, some titans, and the next wave is coming out this weekend, I believe.
It's
a
a second, so
second,
next weekend.
next 2 weeks. Yeah, we're introducing more dreadnoughts and rapier batteries.
Some base artillery.
Yeah, so it's still fairly new. More products coming out all the time.
Spark assault takes.
The Spark
Excited about that. Yeah, some big tanks to put your infantry in to get them across the table.
So let's dive back into being more specific and not confusing you about what we're talking about. So let's talk about the accessibility. Like, how do we get into the game?
Well, I'll take that one as the shop owner. The starter box, we have it sitting behind us. This is the back of the starter box. It is it's a great deal, and you start with a
Amazing deal.
large portion of your Space Marines, your Legion, and then you have the Solar Auxiliary section, and it actually comes with 2 Warhound Titans. And I'm going to add to what we were talking about. That's one of the best things about this game is a lot of times you don't get to play in just regular pickup games of Age of Darkness. You don't get to play with your big toys. And this one, you get a lot of big toys.
They're encouraged.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you get to play with all the cool stuff. But this comes with the rule book, comes with your dice, your templates. It comes with all the little order tokens we were talking about, so you can put your orders on your units. And it comes with the beginning of 2 armies. And interesting enough, you can ally these 2 armies. Like you could run this as one army. You bet this is just one detachment, and that's one detachment or formation.
Formation.
That's one formation. This is another formation. The types would be another formation. The only problem that I think the whole world is feeling right now as far as accessibility and hurts me as a game store owner is it's hard to find this stuff. Games Workshop sold out of it quickly. You can still get the starter boxes. And I know a lot of people who have picked up multiple starter boxes so they can have, that's why on my display board here, I've got 6 of the Predator tanks, and this one only comes with 3 and only comes with 2 of the Sicarans. I've got 4 Sicarans. So you can get a good start, but a lot of the secondary units that were only available in individual boxes, for example, the Thunderhawk gunship, that thing has not been available pretty much since it first released, right? Which is frustrating. And then a lot of the stores like myself, we didn't get very much. We get these all day long. I think initial release, I had orders for 20 of those or more, and I think I got 5.
I'm just going to say this also. If you and a friend want to get into it or thinking about getting into it or something like that, if you each bought a box and then just traded, one person wants to do Solar Aux, one person wants to do Legion Astartes, that happened all the time. So
yeah, the sprues that come inside, I grabbed a couple of them out here. This is just one sprue of Space Marines, and it's got the Terminators, it's got the Assault Marines, it's got the Heavy Weapon Teams, it's got the Plasma Squad, it's got the Tactical Marines, it's got your HQ choice. It's all on one sprue. It's even got a little Contemptor Dreadnought. It's just adorable.
they're those
Adorable, tiny little dreadnoughts.
And if you're coming from Age of Darkness, the bigger scale, we can hold that back up. Take a look and see there's no arms, there's no guns for the most part.
Right.
You are clip and glue and you're
Right.
pretty much done building.
One of my favorite things that somebody had shown me, that is if you take, let's say, my Terminators right here, and you leave this bottom sprue, the only point of attachment is under the base. So you make cuts along the sprue, cut out this bottom one, and you have one rail with 5 Terminators sticking off of it. Then you just paint them right on the sprue. Then you go through and just cut them right off at the bottom of the base and glue them to the base. Yeah. And there's no mold lines, there's no other attachment points. There's a couple of exceptions to that, but
Now, when he says paint, now sure, you can spend hours and hours. It look beautiful. But if you go spray paint, touch the gun, maybe touch some colors on the shoulder pad, and you're done.
and then do maybe a wash
Maybe a
over
wash,
it.
yeah.
These are sprayed white, little blue, little black, little silver, black wash. Done. Yep. Yeah. And because there's so
and they
many
look
of them.
great.
It's super hobby
Don't
friendly.
get too close to it, but yeah, they look.
From here, they look great.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. The hobby size of this is so much more accessible. If that's sort of your hang up maybe on Age of Darkness is the building and the painting, and you can spend hours to make, but Imperialis is it's super.
Building the tanks is so fun.
Yes.
It's so fun. I built 10 rhinos in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The rhino sprue is literally, this is a predator sprue, but it's a top, a bottom, and 2 sides, and then a couple hatches on it. You know, like that was so satisfying. I just built I just built 10 rhinos in 20 minutes.
So you're ready to go.
And if you've ever built a full scale rhino, you know how
Right.
not satisfying.
How long the trend can take.
It takes some time. Yeah. There's a lot of things available in Age of Darkness that are not available yet in Legions Imperialis, and it's an interesting choice they're going by. They're prioritizing making the campaign books because almost all of the units in the Age of Darkness rulebook are already released. There's a couple of exceptions, some of the flyers, and with this next wave, I think it'll be pretty much everything but the flyers. And then, but there's, like I said, there's a lot of units that
Are we
aren't
talking about Imperialis or Age of Darkness? You keep saying Age of Darkness.
Imperialis.
Okay.
I'm old. Don't pick on me.
No, I'm just checking.
Respect
Just clarifying for them.
But there's a lot of units that are available in Age of Darkness and the lore that were not in the book, and the models were not. So they're coming out with this next wave, with this next wave 2 you were talking about, with the support squad, with the artillery and some of the other dreadnoughts, at a book at the same time. And that book is going to have new units. As a matter of fact, the Spartan assault tank, the big tank I have on this board, wasn't even in the main book. The only way you can get that rule set is
Neither are the
new
Malcadors.
Yep, the Malcadors aren't either. Right?
With a sword.
So I think that's how they're going to be releasing new units to kind of fill out the whole fluff of all the different unit availabilities in Age of Darkness. Is they'll have campaign books.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk.
I was going to say, what interests me rules-wise, we kind of touched on a little bit, is now, Bob, you do have a pure Ruler's Armor here. If you had to guess, how many points would you say this is?
I can tell you exactly what it is. I took off of the table 8 Terminators and 6 assault bases. So when I say this is like there's 6 here, well, there were 4 more assault bases and 8 more Terminator bases. I took them off because they weren't painted, but that's 1,500 points.
It's only 1,500 points. Yeah. So if you get to 2,000, 3,000 point game, the rule set is actually built in to allow you to pull from different Space Marine legions.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the time, Space Marines fight alongside other Space Marines.
Yeah, you're literally doing Isfan 5.
Yes. So I'm going to do drop pods haven't come out yet. They're coming out, I think,
Wave 3.
wave 3. So they're coming, but then you can do easily a Salamander drop pod formation, maybe 1,000 points, 100 points, and you can add in your Raven Guard, and it's side by side, hang them up, and you can just play very easily.
As a matter of clarification, since we're using some new terms, this one little unit is a detachment. This entire board is a formation.
Right. And you can have multiple formations. And each
You
formation
used to have multiple formations.
Well, not the entire board.
I think that's actually one formation.
Yeah.
No, that is actually the second formation. I have a tank company there. So.
Okay.
It's not to get in the weeds. Sorry.
But anyway, there you have formations, detachments. Detachments small, formations big. At 1,500
You're
points,
confusing me.
at 1,500 points, you have to take a second formation. So that's where I'm going to do 1,500 points of World Eaters in one formation.
Right.
And my next formation is going to be 1,500 points
Word
of
bearers.
Word bearers.
You can certainly keep it all pure if you want, but yeah, the narrative there is this. It's all there first.
In each army, like in standard Horus Heresy, Age of Darkness, each army has its own special rules that go along with it.
Very minimal, though.
Very minimal. Yep. Some are better than others, but
Some should be banned.
some should be banned.
Which one?
Alpha Legion.
Always Alpha Legion.
It's always Alpha Legion.
It's
To be
just, the
fair-
person, it's just the person who's not being honest with themselves.
We're teasing it. We're teasing it. It should be banned. It's an inside joke.
So yeah, it's a great game. It plays differently. It plays faster, in my opinion, and it's just a really cool way to bring to life entire battles rather than
And you could almost say epic battles.
epic battles. Mine, I'm doing Alpha Legion with Solar Augs. He's doing, and it's called the Battle of Nurse, which is in the book Legion. It's great if you haven't read it, but it's that's my I have the
Those are the forces that were
those are
allied
the
together
forces
in
that are
that
allied
story.
together in the story, and they're on this desert planet, and I have it set up that way where Alpha Legion's in the city, so I have the concrete bases like in the city, and then all my Solar Ox is going to be out in the desert because they were doing supporting fire and like holding down the fort and stuff like that. So it's just and like Shattered Legions, and then whatever you're doing, World Leaders, obviously. But do you have a way you're going with this yet?
Yeah, it's if I was actually sticking with the fluff, it actually wouldn't be very fluff accurate. I wanted to do them where my Age of Darkness army is based on Luceria. That's why it's the Red Sands. The basis on these guys of doing kind of an Imperial Palace assault, but actually in the fluff, at that point
let's use
in the lore, Angron had basically threatened all of his soldiers, saying, "Get out of your tanks, pick up an axe, get out of your tanks." Yeah, so there was actually at the palace there wouldn't have been hardly any tanks; it would have been all infantry. But as we said before, it's kind of hard to get. So tanks.
I mean, you can just park them in the back and not shoot them. We'd be okay with that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Bring 6,000 points. Or 10 sit in the back.
Right. So there's a lot. Again, I was saying there's a lot of things not released. So in the starter sprue, you have for your heavy weapon support, you only have missile launchers. They don't have models yet for las cannons or rules or plasma cannons or any of the other heavy bolters. And then the support squad that comes with plasma, there's no meltas, there's no flamers. So that's all, I think, future things we're going to see coming. There's not even rules for them. There's rules for auto cannons and las cannons on tanks, but not actually with infantry carrying them. So there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of growth.
There's a lot of room for them to bring out new products, new dynamics to it. Also, with the new book, we get new formations. Right now, we're limited to only a couple. So that's a handful. It's a really interesting game, and I'm really liking it so far.
Now, have you guys built some of the train sets? Because the train in this game actually plays a little bit different than Age of Darkness as well.
Yeah. Train's really hard in this game.
I think, Stephen, you've built the building sets, haven't you?
I have them.
Yeah, you have them.
I've built a bunch.
Okay, yeah. Now, this game is all about, it doesn't have to be all about, but it's kind of geared towards city warfare. And you're diving into buildings, using them protection, you're holding choke points, and it's a little bit more dynamic, I would say. You can be. Mage Darkness to come to terrain.
And then you have the Titans that are blowing up the buildings you're trying to hide.
Walking right through them.
Yeah, when you're in a building, they call it garrisoning a building. When you're garrisoned in the building, you are darn near indestructible. But if that building blows up while you're in it, and not everything can do that, only a handful of units have the rule to be able to even attack a building. But if you destroy the building while your troops are in there, the troops are pretty much all dead. They're going to have a hard time.
Which makes sense.
Right, yeah. A building coming down on your head. The hobby side of it, we already kind of touched on how easy they are to paint and to build. I, being the moron I am, have gone through and done some conversions, and unfortunately, I thought it'd be really cool. My dreadnoughts in my Age of Darkness army all have 2 close combat weapons, so I had to have my dreadnoughts have 2 close combat weapons. Well, there's no rules for having 2 close combat weapons, so the extra assault cannon on this guy, I put this guy with 2 assault cannons, which you could do in this game. And this guy's got 2 las cannons, which you could do in this game. But I have to count him as the las cannon and him as the assault cannon because that's the only kit that they have. And then I found this really cool guy. Where did he go?
He's on the left.
Oh, there he is. I found this really cool guy online, and we'll get a closer shot of him. But I had to make a Karn the Betrayer, and there's a YouTube content creator that goes by Lit Bashing. And he had a whole tutorial on how you could cut this little tiny guy's legs off, this little tiny guy's, and I made a Karn the Betrayer, or I guess he wouldn't be the Betrayer at this point, but Karn the Bloody, using the models cut up. It was a pain in the butt. I lost a lot of bits doing it, but he has no rules. I'm just going to use him as my leader of my army. I'm going to pop my leader off of this base and put him on there with no special rules, but it'll be really cool having Karn lead this squad.
I'm just going to say this.
So check out Lit Bashing.
Lit bashing?
Lit.
You're lit?
Yeah, lit. Instead of kit bashing, it's lit.
That's
bashing.
fantastic.
Right.
If you watch this and you have any desire to do an Alfarius, you let me know.
Yeah, he's sitting right there.
Exactly. Just a blank video. If you put that out, man, that'd be the best.
5 was half.
Yeah, just dead silence. He's just moving his hands. And
And then redacted.
Yeah,
right, of course. Right. It's also moving this army from place to place versus moving that army from place to place. This stuff transports amazing. Like you could put a 3,000 point army of this is going to take a big giant case. A 3,000 point army of this takes a little box about that big when it's all in there.
So you guys are both doing the Escalation League. How's that going?
That's been fun.
I haven't gotten as many games as I should have because I've been traveling.
You have a 4-month-old.
And I have a 5-month
Playable now.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really nice to just. Another thing about it is the really quick games. So you can set it up, and 1,500 points plays in about an hour.
Mm-hmm. If you both sometimes,
Yeah.
There's been a lot of kind of mixed opinions online about wow, this unit's too broken, this unit's really weak. I think we're running into that because not all of the units are out yet.
Right. Yeah.
Like once we start getting, we don't really have any artillery right now. Once we have artillery, the units that maybe have certain strengths and have answers to them, units that are maybe weaker are going to become stronger. It's a great time to get into the game because it's really at the ground level. We're all kind of trying to figure it out right now. And
Flyers are really strong right now. In Wave 2, there's some things that are coming out that are going to make flyers not so strong.
right, sentry guns.
Same with buildings. That's what the blow up buildings are coming out.
Yeah. So it transports awesome. It builds awesome. It's very satisfying to build and paint. You can make an army look great on the table relatively quickly. And I think we've said it's fun. Is it? You say really?
I've said it's fun.
I mean, you have grandiose ideas of taking Imperialis scale down into Age of Darkness scale.
Yeah, I want to run a campaign through the shop here that's going to be large battle, Imperialis, and then if it goes into a city type, maybe we switch to Age of Darkness and you actually start using the Age of Darkness scale. Or maybe there's a really strategic point where an air battle is important. Then you take and use the the Aeronautic Imperialis rules, and we actually have air battles. The new book coming out next week actually has formations where Titans become more of the main set, but we could use that, or we could go into Titanicus, use the Titanicus rules, which is a very detailed way to play the Titans.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to incorporate all the games together and create one campaign for people, like a map-based campaign.
It's all a tool to have a giant narrative campaign.
Right.
Where you just
It could be teams too. So you might find somebody who likes Titanicus, who likes Aeronautica. Like we all play simultaneously in these different aspects of the same battlefield.
Right.
There's all kinds of options. I just throw that out there. He'll tell me I'm wrong later. So
I'll tell him he's rock on.
let's start too.
I'm sure going forward, we'll touch on more on Legion Imperialis throughout different shorts or painting guides, things like that. So,
Yeah. Well, this is a heresy podcast, and this is definitely heresy. So
officially, the box says
It says so.
we can't argue that.
It's a real thing. Any other parting thoughts on Legions Imperialis?
I don't know if on Legion Imperialis, but how about the tournaments that we have coming up?
Well, it doesn't touch Legions Imperialis,
It
but
doesn't.
it does touch the Horus Heresy. We talked about it in the last podcast. Coming up May 18th and 19th. What I didn't say in the last podcast is where you can find information. If you go to our the Gamers Haven Facebook page, you will find a link to it, and we're running an event called the Inland Northwest Open, and we actually have a large 40K tournament called Storm of Silence. It's in its 15th year right now, and that is a qualifier for the U.S. Open Championship, which is in November. The only way to go to that in Atlanta is by winning one of these. We actually have 2 tickets available. We're going to do Best Overall and Best General. We're both getting a ticket for this. Then we're also running our second Conqueror's Crown, which is a narrative Horus Heresy Age of Darkness event. And I'd love to get fishes up on some of our terrain and tables and scenarios. We got to do that. We're getting there, guys. And then we're also doing an Age of Sigmar 2-day event. So it's going to be over 200 people all in one building running at the same time, May 18th and 19th. Go to the Gamers Haven Facebook page. You can find information or message the Gamers Haven if you want to on Facebook.
And it's in beautiful Spokane, Washington.
At Spokane Community College, beautiful Spokane, Washington. It's going to be great. Yeah, for sure. So you want to take us out this time?
Sure. If you like what we're doing, you're enjoying it, like, follow, and subscribe.
There'll be a link below.
Even
There'll
if
be a
you
link
tolerate what we're
below.
doing, right?
Yeah, and tolerate it. Just want to see us make fun of each other or him make fun of me. It's all good. So until next time, let's sign off.
And we promise we are actually going to wrap up that series So we should probably tell people.
You
that.
did, but you told me to go out.
But you finish.
We finish. I usually finish first.
You finish.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.